Yo, what's good, y'all? This is Master Ace, Crooklyn Dodgers. You know what I'm saying? Juice Crew and all of that. Check me out coming up on I Only Touch Greatness, the podcast.
What's it like being regarded as Eminem, one of Eminem's favorite rappers? And have you ever had the chance to actually work with him or meet him?
Yeah, I met him a couple of times. One
was on Shade 45, wasn't it? Because I remember hearing that on the radio.
Yeah, that was
spit a bar. He was spitting your bars.
Yeah, that was like years after we actually met in person though at his show. He was on the Up in Smoke tour.
Yeah,
which was Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eminem. I can't remember who else was on
Eminem. There was
Exhibit.
Yeah,
Jazz and Corrupt were there.
Right. Yep.
Snoop.
Yep. So I met him he invited me through his road manager, invited me to the show, the one they had in Long Island, New York. And so I drove out there, and they told me that after his set, because he was like basically one of the openers, like he wasn't even like a huge yet. He was he was going before all those guys. And ultimately they said once he's off stage, come to this door and they're gonna let me in. And I went over. My wife was with me, but she stayed in her seat. I went down. They walked me back, and just me and him in the dressing room, just talking. It was cool.
Right. Did you actually do a song with him too?
I'm on a song with him. I wouldn't say I did a song with him because we weren't in the studio together. But there's a song called Hellbound that was on this compilation called Game Over.
Right.
And he had recorded this verse for these producers years before. Well, not years, but like two years before he actually blew up.
Right.
He recorded this verse at the studio in Queens, which is the same studio that I was working on. Ultimately, did Disposable Arts in, but they had this Eminem verse that was like they hadn't used yet. They didn't know what they were going to do with it, and so we created this song. They decided to create the song Hellbound and put it on this compilation.
Right.
So I
wanted to say this too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's kind of how the Eminem and Biggie song "Dead Wrong" came about too.
It's possible. But you know, they came about in the era. They were already in the digital era. When M dropped, it was already digital era. So at that point, you could record a verse and email it to somebody. Yeah. Like when I did Hellbound, nobody was emailing verses. Like you had to like be in the studio and record it. So I don't know how it was done, but more than likely it was probably through email.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And so how was it working with, Special Ed and them on that song, that classic song, on Crooklyn? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, it was cool. I got a call from Q-Tip asking me if I wanted to be a part of this song for Spike Lee's movie. I said absolutely. We all met at Special Ed Studio called the Dollar Cab Lab, which was on I believe Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. Sat down, we listened to the beat. Everybody went home and wrote their rhymes, recorded them. I think we came back to the Dollar Cab Lab and recorded the vocals. And then Spike Lee heard it and he's like, the song is cool, but it's not really reflective of the movie. The movie takes place in the 70s, and you guys need to see the movie. So he set up a private screening for about 15 of us, 20 of us. And we watched the movie. It was months before the movie even hit theaters, but we got to see the movie in its entirety. And then he said, now go back and rewrite the rhymes based on what you saw, because, it needs to reflect the 70s. So we all went back and rewrote our rhymes, and that's the song that as the Crooklyn Dodgers.
Okay. And what are you up to these days?
Man, I got two writing projects that I'm working on. One is a TV series, but the one that, this is just writing projects. But the other one, which is a little bit more moving a little bit faster, is this musical that I've been working on. I've partnered with a hip hop theater company called Rhymes Over Beats, and they are basically the catalyst to me getting this thing written and completed. So I meet once a week with this lady named Kate Camerata. We meet once a week over Zoom. We read what I've most recently written. We discuss it. She gives me feedback, and then I go back and I work on whatever we talked about and make it better. So in March of 2020, right before the lockdown thing happened,
Yep.
we had a table read where actors actually came in and sat down around the table and read the script. We got to hear the script out loud, which was kind of helpful for me, because there was definitely stuff like, oh, that sounds corny, or that sounds cool. But I was able to take that feedback from those actors and go back and fix stuff. I'm still fixing stuff. But at that point, right from March 2020 is when I started working on the music. I started writing the songs. And so I got the songs to a point. I'm probably about 3 songs short of finishing all of the music.
Okay.
But I'm now back working on the script again, because I had to make a couple of major changes to the plot. So I had to work on that. But it's a process. I'm learning it. It's something new for me. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I can't tell you when that's going to come out, because like I said, I've been working on it for at least almost 3 years. Yeah, almost 3 years.
Okay.
And I want to say, how was it working with MF Doom too? Because you had MA Doom. How was it working with MF Doom and RP MF Doom?
Yeah, we didn't actually work together, just like the
you
Eminem
didn't?
situation.
No shit.
So he put out an instrumental series called Special Herbs.
Right.
All his instrumentals from all his releases, anybody that he ever did a beat for, he took all those instrumentals and put them out. A friend of mine put me onto these instrumentals. I got my hands on them, started listening to them, and decided to just do a mixtape over some of the instrumentals. And that's how it all got started. It ended up being a full album once Fat Beats Records got involved and they had money and they wanted to turn it into more of an official release. And so Doom and I had a show together at the Montreux Jazz Festival, very famous festival in Europe. It's been around for probably 50 years. But we were on that show together, and we met backstage. I told him I've been working on this mixtape. Well, I said album at that time because it was already officially an album.
Right.
So after the show, went back to his hotel room and played him the whole album, and he loved it. You know what? Nothing was mixed, but he got to hear the songs. And then I said, it'd be dope to have you on a joint. He's like, no problem. And 5-6 months later, he gives me his verse and the album is done. And that's pretty much how that went.
Wow.
And
Okay,
how do you
sweet.